Yeah. I had made a video, but I had to delete it because somebody fucked with my phone. So I woke up in a house that has no electricity. Yes, and then I got to thinking about this legislation known as the requirements of law for due process. Yeah. Then I looked at the interference with state and federal law. Yes, the 333. Yeah. The president, by using militia or the armed forces or both, or by any other means, shall take measures as he considers necessary. Yes. To suppress in a state any insurrection, domestic violence, unlawful combination, or conspiracy. Now, this conspiracy of domestic violence, yes. See, there's a problem. It's raining outside, and I'm standing here, and I have $1.39, and I got to thinking about the requirements of the law that judges should be aware of before issuing court orders. Yes. And there seems to be this idea that you can render criminal assistance to any judge or court commissioner that doesn't do what the requirements of the law state. Now, I know the president's busy, and I talked to you about that cabinet that he has there where he gets to appoint whomever he wants to whatever job as a secretary. But I'm thinking as an American citizen, we're going to need some new legislation. Now, yesterday I mentioned the rendering of criminal assistance to those judges that violate the RCWs because they issue court orders where there is no notice of the when and where of where they're going to have court hearings. Yes. And then no one wants to arrest a judge or a court commissioner for not doing what the requirements of the law are. And a lot of times that was left to the judicial commissions of the various states, and they don't want to self-regulate. They don't want the privilege of saying, well, we know that you're not doing what the requirements of the law are, and we're going to have to remove the judicial commissions because they just won't censure judges that violate the laws. Then there's the bar associations, those canons that I've talked about. And they just don't want to mess with any attorney because you know how attorneys like to sue bar associations and they're all scared of them. But as a citizen, when I start to think the minimum and maximum guidelines for conspiracy, yes, insurrection. See, yesterday, when two or more persons, right, make an agreement that they are going to render criminal assistance, they are not going to arrest a court commissioner that uses a forgery to issue a court order. They are not going to arrest for fraud on the court. In fact, I was thinking about the sheriffs that investigate various crimes, and they wanted to say that I was crazy for not understanding the requirements of the law. But I'm thinking we need some new legislation. We need to take out all the self-regulatory privilege of those in the bar associations because they really don't regulate. I've documented probably 1,900,000 times that it is actually in violation of the RCWs, yes, to issue a court order where the petitioner's not there on the day of the court hearing. Yes. I showed them in the temporary protection order where you have to appear in court or it will be dismissed and you will not have the protections of a court order. Yeah. Then I showed them that, I was arrested numerous times for crimes I didn't commit. They'd rather put me in a mental institution than enforce the actual requirements of the law. And then there's the fraud on the court. Oh, the fraudulent use of the state court seal. Ooch. The rendering of criminal assistance to those in law enforcement that say we never get arrested. Oh, we don't have to enforce the laws. In fact, we can have a civil conspiracy of sedition against the enforcement of the laws. Now, there's a big problem with judges that don't understand the importance of the requirements of the law before issuing a court order. I'm bound, yes, to a court order that was fraudulently issued. All right, my sons were abducted. They're kidnapped and they won't return them to me. And I didn't get any phone calls. So I thought we'd spend a little time today talking about how legislation gets passed and why the Congress is going to do what I say. Now, did you want to stop with your little domestic violence civil conspiracy right now? You decided that you were going to render criminal assistance. You decided that you weren't going to enforce the laws. Oh, you failed. You are unenabled. You do not have it within you to enforce the actual requirements of the law necessary to issue court orders. Now, for all of those judicial commissions that thought, well, we have a pretty good idea who the bad apples are, and for every bar association that said, well, you have to pay us dues so that you can practice law in the United States of America, I had mentioned that I'm suing them and their ABA recognized schools because now they're all involved in this conspiracy of rendering criminal assistance to those that. I'm so fucking sorry.